Mm, okay, let's see. Testing, testing. Let's see, make sure that works. Okay. Yeah. All right. Everyone here? Okay, everyone ready? Um, we'll just get comfortable here. All right. I guess we'll go and get started. I'm sure hopefully more people will show up eventually. Um, hello everyone. Welcome back to another Disney watch on. This time we'll be looking at the final film that Walt was involved with before his unfortunate departure, and that being The Jungle Book, which is, believe it or not, I think one of my first films I saw as a kid, not just Disney films. It was either this or Wizard of Oz, but it's definitely a movie I hold pretty close to me. So this will definitely be a fun one to revisit. And yeah, for those who wondering, yes, we're hopefully this time we won't have problems with the connections again. I hope. I don't know. There are days where the connection will be fine. I have no problem. And other days it just wants to act up. So if we have problems again, I might just have to do this like either tonight or tomorrow morning. But hopefully that won't be the case. So let's see. I got the disc in. Let me just go ahead and let's see. This right here. Okay. Let me just. All right. Let me just go ahead and get back. Well, it is a good thing these old Disney films were short, so it's not a huge deal if we have to start over. But all right, 3, 2, 1. Well, actually, wait, hold on a second. Let me just go through there. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're starting. Pray to God that we don't. I mean, so far it looks like I have a good connection right now. So let's hope this doesn't happen again because that was ridiculous. Yeah, sorry we have to start this over. We were like what 24 minutes into the film. Like we had less than an hour left, but it is interesting that of all the Disney animated films, this one probably has the most live action remakes. Consider you had the '94 film that I believe Steven Sommers directed, as in the director of The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. You also had um, the Jungle Book Mowgli's story, which I think was like a straight to video thing, and then you have the 2016 remake, which a lot of people refer to as the best Disney remake, and I guess, but I'll be honest, I wasn't that big of a fan of it. I mean, I probably like it more than the majority of the other remakes, but you know. And yeah, this film did get a sequel, one that was actually released in theaters along with Return to Neverland, which I question why of all the Disney films, why those two got theatrical releases. I don't get. So yeah, I apologize for the. Well, Bambi 2 is straight to video, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it got like limited releases in other countries. Yeah, you would think Lion King 2 could have been released in theaters. I mean, considering that the animation actually looked pretty good for a straight to video film. Like, given how big Lion King was, you'd think they would release Lion King 2 in theaters, but you know. But as stated before, I do apologize regarding the previous stream. I don't know why my connection acts up every now and then. Let's just hope that doesn't happen again. Look, a Lion King 1.5, I don't know if that would be worthy of theatrical release. I don't know. That was kind of more of a joke film, I guess, in a way, but I don't know. Yeah, songs by the Sherman Brothers. Yeah, I know the Sherman Brothers. They did the music for this and the Sword in the Stone. Like these were like their first films they worked on. Anyway, the movie's starting. That waterfall, does that look live? Like, did they film a live waterfall and just impose that in the background? That I don't know. That looked a little strange. I mean, I guess they had to cut corners because around this time, remember Walt's company, especially after his death, they definitely did cut corners, especially when it came to reusing animation cells. Yeah, I'm aware that this was the last film Walt did before his passing, even though he died before the film was officially released, which is really sad. And I know this movie isn't that close to the book per se. I mean, I understand the original Rudyard Kipling story was more of a series of stories, I guess. I think. And I know there's been aside from this movie and the various live action remakes, you also had the Chuck Jones short. There was a Russian animated film called Adventures of Mowgli that I hear is really good. I think it's on YouTube. Um, and there was the Andy Serkis movie that came out in 2018, which I've heard mixed things about, but people said it's probably one of the closer adaptations to the book. Yeah, maybe I should check out Adventures of Mowgli. I mean, I don't know. I do eventually want to do watch alongs of more obscure animated films because I think that'd be pretty cool to do. So, but right now I'm trying to get through the Disney classics. So, I guess wolves have a thing in storytelling where they take care of human children. I mean, it's a common thing in mythologies, and I think there are true stories about wolves raising human children. I know I've heard a couple stories like that before. I might, yeah, you know what they say, dogs are man's best friends. So again, with a little polar bear, I might do that in the future, but it could be a while since I have other stuff I want to get through. Like after I'm done with the Disney animated films, I'm thinking about doing things like the Leica films and the Studio Ghibli films, Pixar, DreamWorks, all that. I guess the one thing the 2016 remake does kind of do a little better is it does give the wolves more screen time than in this film. Yeah, I might do those eventually too, but it could be a while because, you know, I know Drew brought this up in the last, first attempt. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying. There's like how many wolves and they can't take on one tiger. I mean, I guess Shere Khan is that much of a badass that he can take on a whole pack by himself, but it is strange that they say their pack can't handle a tiger. Especially consider, I believe, dholes, which are a type of wild dog native to India, they're known to take on tigers in their packs. So, yes, I saw your comment about Ryu's animation. I know about the Ryu's animation, all right? If I remember correctly, again, it's been so long, but in Jungle Cubs, the prequel show to Jungle Book, I think they even encountered dolls in that show. So yeah, yeah, I kind of figure. Again, it's been so long since I watched Jungle Cubs. I mean, so in all the years Mowgli's lived in the jungle, he's never really been able to learn how to climb a tree. But I mean, in his defense, this tree is pretty big. So yeah, I've heard that Rama is voiced by the same actor who does Roger and Grimsby. So again, Disney does like to reuse some of their actors. So and in comes Ka, who honestly as a kid was probably one of my favorite characters, but that's because I've always loved snakes. So which some of y'all might know because I have a snake. So yes, I saw your yes, I saw your previous comment regarding the wolves. From what I understand, in the original book, Ka really wasn't a villain. In fact, from what I understand in the book, he was deemed one of the wisest characters, like who helped Mowgli and his friends. So, but from what I understand, at the time, I guess people didn't like the idea of that. I guess at the time when this film was released, people didn't like the idea of having a snake as a good guy because people always associate snakes with evil, which is such snake slander, and I will not tolerate that. The animators must have had the time of their life animating Ka as well. It's given how long he is. I think Ka is supposed to be a reticulated python since they are the longest snakes on Earth and they are native to India. So, well, pythons don't have fangs. They still have sharp teeth, though, that can curve backward and rip into your flesh. Yeah, if you got an iron tail, you probably have a broken tail at that point. Hmm. time not to have hands, which honestly, I think it would kind of suck being a snake if you have to go around with not having hands, that you have to crawl on your belly all the time and swallow your food whole since you can't chew your food. Yes, I saw your previous comments. Look, if I don't respond to a comment, it's probably because I have nothing to say. That yeah, Mowgli's already proven he's not really capable of looking after himself in the jungle, and enter the elephants. I think this was my favorite song as a kid as well. So okay, that one elephant looks high. I've always loved elephants too. It's very highly intelligent animals and such strange looking creatures when you look at them. But yeah, I do. You know, fun fact with me. So I grew up. I used to own a lot of the Saint Alon VHS cassettes. Honestly, I wish I never got rid of those. But I what's me is that I ended up watching those before seeing most of these Disney films. Now, granted, I did see The Jungle Book before seeing those tapes, but like I think I saw those tapes before I saw Little Mermaid or Aladdin or Being the Beast or that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess the little elephant does kind of have the same hair as Mowgli, but then again, baby elephants do have hair like that. So well, sometimes at least the Asian ones do. So no, I saw Lion King before I saw the Saint Laurent tape. So if Lion King was the first movie that my parents took me into theaters, of course I would have been one at the time. So what kind of battle do these elephants get involved with? Because that's what I've always wondered. It's like, I don't know if y'all hear that, but it's thundering outside. I really hope that is not metal with the connection. Yeah, I never thought of that. So in Jungle Comes, he was born in the wild, but if we're going by what this movie is going by, I guess he was captured by humans, served in like as a war elephant, either escaped or maybe he was released back into the wild, where he became a war general, colonel himself. Victoria Crossbed. Yeah, I've always wondered too. Does he actually have like what's the hierarchy like here in the jungle? So I guess Disney. Well, he's really beat up. I guess Disney really had a thing back then for the colonel, like veteran type, because you had this, you had the Colonel from 101 Dalmatians, you had that one general character from Mary Poppins. Must be a sharp stick if you could just cut hair like that. Jeez. Yeah, I know. It's the same actor who voiced Colonel from 101 Dalmatians. And if that is true about him being captured by humans, only be released back to the wild or escaping or whatever, I guess this would explain why he has a issue with humans. I guess, which I wouldn't blame him. Yes, I know the actor who voiced Colonel also voiced Jasper, so yes, I know you've mentioned that quite a few times, Reese Animation Sword and Stone, alright? Just that's some bad thunder right there, jeez. Yeah, probably. Okay, that guy's still chewing cud. Yeah, why they march with their eyes closed? I don't get it. Like that won't end in disaster. Vanna Felton, isn't that the same actress who did the Queen of Hearts and Fairy Godmother, or am I thinking of someone else? Oh, it kind of sounds like her. I mean, yeah, yes, that's what I thought. And I'm sorry, yes, the matriarch Dumbo. Yeah, she must have been pretty old at this point then. So far, we're doing pretty good with the connection. I mean, and hopefully it stays that way because, like I said, we're I'm there's some thunder going on outside where I live. So this is our last film. Oh, that's sad. As much as I hate to admit this, but I guess if there's one thing the 2016 remake does kind of prove on is giving more for Mowgli to do. Like they don't make him as annoying as he was in this film. And I guess the kid that played him was did a pretty good job, I suppose. It's not often you'll see me compliment one of these remakes because I have a huge bitterness towards them. And enter Baloo, everyone's favorite character in this movie, or well, some people. So basically, Mowgli is more of a character, like a self-insert. Like I guess you can think about Mowgli does go through a few dads because you had Bagheera, Baloo, and then I guess the father he gets in the sequel. And before Bagheera, whatever father he had, his biological father before he passed away. Which kind of makes me what happened to Mowgli's biological parents. I know in the remake, Shere Khan killed his father, but I guess Mowgli should consider himself lucky that Baloo is not. Guess they died in the boat crash. Yeah. I mean, consider that Baloo is supposed to be a sloth bear, and if you know anything about sloth bears, they you don't want to mess with them. If you know what I mean, if you guys ever watched Casual Geographic, he did a video on each of the bear species, and he brings up sloth bears and how very temperamental they are. They're not usually carnivores; they're primarily herbivores. It's just the fact they're so skittish and territorial. So, yeah, Mowgli should consider us lucky that Baloo is chill. Feli Harris definitely had a unique voice, I have to say. And yeah, it is funny they would bring him back to Robin Hood to voice Little John. So I probably should check out the Jungle book, see how that because it's typical for Disney to adapt these stories, but change a lot to make them more, I guess, family friendly. Because the original Jungle Book story was pretty dark. Yes, I know you mentioned that regarding Baloo and Pooh. Okay, this is about where we left off before the stream crashed. So let's just, you know, I guess the wolves did a pretty good job protecting Mowgli from the dangers of the jungle since you have tigers and dholes and leopards. I know, right? Sorry about that. I was talking to my dad. He was just leaving for work. And enter probably the most iconic song of this movie. I know the. I do remember the Jungle Book Groove Party game. I never played it, but that's only because I never owned a PlayStation. So okay, that rock looks rotoscoped. Wait, was rotoscoping a thing in the '60s? I mean, I guess it technically was because I think they used rotoscoping in 101 Dalmatians. So again, Mowgli, you don't seem to have much survival skills. You see a cactus, you try to pick it up like you're picking up an apple. Like that's okay. Is it weird for me to say I kind of relate to Bagheera? Like the vibe he gives, it just like yeah, totally relatable. I mean, to be fair, that is something bears do in real life. They'll find a tree and scratch their backs. I know, right? It's funny because when you become an adult, you start to relate to the characters like that. Bagheera, Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh, Squidward from SpongeBob. You know those characters that are kind of like done with the world or just fed up with the shenanigans of the characters around them. Right from yeah, I guess from Angry Birds. I never saw the Angry movies. They just never looked that good to me. It's been forever since I watched animation look back. I mean, Animat is one of those YouTubers I used to watch a lot, but nowadays not as often, considering some of the controversy around him in recent years. Yeah, Big Hero always comes back. Yeah, the Banjo monkeys. You know, what is it with a lot of older like animated films with the way they depict monkeys? Like they have the long like platypus mouth. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I think they try to make them look like baboons because baboons kind of that's similar, even though baboons don't live in India. So or apes, yeah, apes too. They'll do that. Yeah, yeah, I know baboons are for Africa. Like I'm not sure what monkeys these are meant to be. I mean, there are langurs, there are macaques. Yeah, I'm just trying to the monkeys that are native to India. So lemurs live in Madagascar. Also, lemurs aren't monkeys. They are primates, but they aren't monkeys. They're part of the Prosimian family. That's gonna give a huge headache. Yeah, the monkeys must have good aim if they could toss them around like that. Yeah, and enter King Louis. You know, it's interesting when you think about it that orangutans actually don't live in India. They live in like Southeast Asia, like Borneo and Sumatra. So Louis is kind of a ways away. Yeah, that's what I heard. So that's the remake. The reason why they made Louis a Gigantopithecus in the remake is because I guess because they realized orangutans don't actually live in India, so they made him that. Even though Gigantopithecus fossils were found in like I think Vietnam and China, but I mean hey, it's closer to India than Borneo and Sumatra. So it also would explain Louis' massive size in the remake, since Gigantopithecus was a giant ape. Maybe not quite as big as depicted in that movie, but still. So Louis is technically a villain when you think about it, and I guess that would make this song a villain song in a way. I never stopped to think about that, but I remember when Jamboree did his Disney villains ranking, he did include Louis. Well, of course, not nearly as big as King Kong. So this is another pretty catchy song too. So I know, right? Because Louis, even though he is labeled as a villain, technically speaking, they definitely made him more villainous in the remake. But actually, both remakes, I think. But he's one of those characters you can kind of see as working both sides. Like I know, like in Jungle Cubs, he was more of, and also in Tailspin, where he runs a bar. Yeah, I know. There's like several versions of this song. So, like in most other versions of Louis and other Disney properties, he's mostly either seen as like some ally of the characters or as just a troublemaker. Yeah. Now here's the question: why does Louis want to know how to make fire? Yeah, foreshadowing. It does make you wonder what Louis' intentions are. Yeah, I get that Louis wants to be more like men, like climb the evolutionary ladder and become more like humans. Even Baloo can't help but get into the beat. Yeah, Baloo is a bit of a party animal. Yeah, I know. Like, I guess Baloo does have a thing for dressing a drag between in this movie and in Tailspin. Yeah, so the Timon would do later. But I mean, how they got in there, it's pretty easy to get in your temple, guys. Yeah, again, this was the era when the films were starting to reuse a lot of their animations, but again, there were some. I guess they were struggling money at the time, so bye bye. Yeah, I guess they. Yeah, yeah. I didn't think about it. The temple. I guess was rebuilt in the sequel, so who knows? Oh, yeah, I guess that was Brother Rabbit's laugh they used in Louis' laugh. Huh, didn't think about that. Yeah, I guess Mowgli does have two dads right here, trying to determine what to do with him. I know, right? Like Bagheera, that sounds a little sounds a little I would say I guess racist, or I guess in this case more like speciest, but assuming that all primates act that way. Guess I saw your comments. I know about the reused animation. You don't have to keep bringing it up. I know, right? There's definitely a married couple vibe going on between those two. It's funny. So if Mowgli's been in the jungle for like, let's say 10 years, how's he never met Shere Khan or anything like that? I don't know. It's I know he's been away from the jungle for a long time, but really? Yes, I saw your comments. Yeah, Baloo, but you only known him for like what, a day? Yeah, I know. I love how there was a good portion of this scene. Their eyes were one of their eyes were like blacked or something, or like it's purple in this case, and now they just healed overnight. That must have been a quick night. You know what I mean? Like I know with these films they're not so accurate with time, but like I know, right? You can just feel the pain. Like Blue doesn't want to give the news, but he has to. It's what's best for him. Because now he knows how serious it is. Because if he stays, he would be vulnerable to Shere Khan. Which I have to say, like, okay, I know we're not watching the 2016 remake, but I guess Shere Khan is one of the first Disney but anyway, one thing I really did not like. I mean, there's a lot of things about the remake I didn't like, but one thing is how they handled the breakup between Baloo and Mowgli. Like, I don't know, it's just it was really stupid. I I guess that's a good point. I guess you could say Baloo had to go through something because what what did Mowgli learn through this film? At least in this movie, Baloo is trying to be genuine about it. Mowgli's just acting like a brat. Whereas that version, I don't know. It's just I mean, I get Mowgli's a kid, but surely she'd be smart enough to at least know that the jungle is just not a safe place, especially for a young human like him. I know, right? Yeah, I know the rescuers would reuse some animation as well. It's just that's for another time. I mean, you have to feel bad for Baloo because he actually did try. I mean, I guess that's a relatable response for a parent trying to explain their kid something, the kid just being so non-reasonable. And 47 minutes of the film, we finally meet the head honcho himself, Shere Khan, and hunting Bambi's mom. Apparently, man, Bambi's mom really does get around, doesn't she? And the elephants had to interrupt. Nothing worse than someone interrupting your meal, huh? The George Sanders is amazing Shere Khan. And Tony J, like, say what you will with the sequel, but they do have a the sequel did get a pretty good voice cast for these characters. I don't know. Does anyone in the jungle even take this elephant patrol seriously? Obviously, the deer in this are different from the deer in Bambi. I mean, they're separate species. What makes you think that, Colonel? Maybe a distant relative of Bambi's mom? Yes, I saw it come before. Especially when elephants use infrasound to get around their surroundings. You know, it's funny Colonel says that because in real life it's the females that lead the herd. So, yeah, yeah, baby elephants. I think that's everyone's weakness if you've seen how playful they can be, but not really something to take lightly. You have the drunk looking elephant to find the yeah. Yeah, destroy the jungle on the way. Why don't you? I guess so. I mean, elephants are strong enough to smash down trees, and so, but yeah. And Ka returns. So has he been stalking Mowgli this whole time? Yeah, I guess Ka's face does look a little different in this scene than it did earlier on. His eyes are more pronounced. Yes, I saw your previous comments. You don't have to keep mentioning Anita, right? Just and enter this song. Wait, what? Hold on. Pooh was supposed to sing the song at one time? And yeah, I know in the 2016 remake they changed Ka's gender from male to female, which I don't really get the change. Which, when you think about it, it's not even a bad idea for a change because Ka is essentially this manipulator. So the idea of making him female, like it would be like a femme fatale sort of character. And I'm just gonna come out and say it. This song, "Trusted Me," it has some pretty dark implications when you really think about the lyrics. It's I guess John Holloway is capable of voicing characters that are very kind-hearted and very soft-spoken, and then voicing manipulators like Ka. So that's interesting. To know. You know, it reminds me of the Nostalgia Critic when he reviewed the 2016 movie. He made this comment where Ka's voice is like if you combine Winnie the Pooh with Herbert the Pervert from Family Guy. It's like, I mean, that's a colorful way of describing it. And these two villains meet for the first time. I know, right? Why Kai had his tail dangling from there when anyone could like see him? Like, wasn't smart on his part. You know, Shere Khan is cool when the hypnosis doesn't work on him. Who knows? Scar wasn't British, was he? Like, I don't. Jeremy Irons was. Yeah, I know in the remake they got Idris Elba to voice Shere Khan, which I will give the voice acting's good. I just didn't like what they did with Shere Khan in the remake. That's all. Yeah, how does Kyle even get his tail tangled like that exactly? Like, I don't. Who knows? And we get the Vultures, who apparently were originally meant to be voiced by the Beatles. Yeah, pretty much. Who knows how often they do that skit? It's clearly a lot if they, who knows. I guess then in some ways the Vultures are like the Crows when Dumbo says they do kind of make fun of someone only to then regret it. It's just minus the racial like baggage behind it. I guess I don't know. So the vultures weren't in the book, it was a kite. So that's interesting to know. I do know that Shere Khan, he had, like what was it? Like, I know he had, like, a sidekick with him in the book. Wasn't it like a weasel or something, or the jackal? I can't remember exactly. Yeah, jackal, okay. Weasel. I must be thinking of Rikki Tikki Tavi, another Rudyard Kipling story. That's kinda strange because 'cause I'm pretty sure hyenas don't live in India, they primarily live in Africa, maybe the Middle East? I mean, are there? Yes, I've seen your comments about the vultures and Pooh Avengers, just, you know. Yeah, can I just say vultures get way too much crap? Like, I know they're not the most pleasant looking birds, but they are important to the environment. They clean up the carcasses that like roadkill and all that. So, and also apparently vultures do get along with like their human like workers, since humans who work with vultures at zoos, they are described as having like puppy dog like personalities. At least that's what Cat Geographic says. But like I said, I guess the Beatles were originally meant to voice the vultures, but due to I think John Lennon didn't like the idea of being involved in an animated family film, which is really stupid. Yeah, interesting considering that the year after this film was released, there'll be Yellow Submarine. So I love when Shark Khan just breaks in, just joins in on the song. I know, right? Sounds like Grinch from okay, I guess. Now hold on, Mowgli. It could just be any other tiger. Just saying. I know, right? Of all the tigers are the type of animals you don't want to mess around with. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw that video of the people on that elephant and the tiger just lunged at them despite them being on an elephant. And Blue arrives just in the nick of time. I know, right? Considering that sloth bears will commonly fight tigers, so it does make more sense. I wouldn't be surprised if they reuse the bear sound effect from Shere Khan's. But then it's just that common like growl sound effect that a lot of these classic films reused. Yeah, now he's mad. Wouldn't most animals be afraid of fire though? So yeah. Surprised Shere Khan didn't actually start a fire when running through the grass like that, but at least it started raining. Yeah, Shere Khan will definitely become far more aggressive in the sequel. Oh, Bagheera, where the heck have you been? If only you were here sooner. I know, right? Also, apparently Bagheera quoted a Bible verse at this point. I remember hearing something about that. Yes, I saw your previous comments, Anita. Okay, don't worry. I know, right? Like, wasn't everything you're dead? Why is everything grown again? Unless they're at the edge of the jungle at this part. I don't know. Yes, I saw your comments. Sorry, don't worry. I just have nothing to say. All right. Yes, I'm sure. I just, you know, I know Bagheera's gonna just let him have it later. You sure about that, Baloo? And they just happen to be right next to the man village. I'm sure they found Hadley later to let him know. So after this bit, yeah, I know that they gave her a name in the sequel. So Baloo, did you have like a really bad experience with women in the past? The way you made that comment. Yeah, although Tailspin is kind of its own thing, despite having characters from the Jungle Book. Unless there's some weird like film theory or something to explain if Jungle Book and Tailspin are connected. Yeah, I guess it's interesting to know this film does have a lack of female characters. I mean, so, but whatever. I'm not bothered by it. So, yeah, every little boy's weakness, I guess. A girl with a pretty face and a voice. I don't know. He's never met another human before, especially one, you know. Yeah. Ow. Okay. I know, right? I guess that's most men's weakness. So it's like I don't know if I can blame Ugly too much for that. Yes, I saw her comment on the. And off they go back in the jungle. It's funny how Big Ear just goes along with Baloo. Yeah, I guess they didn't put a in memory of Walt since this was the final film that he worked on before his passing. So, yeah, that is The Jungle Book. And looking back, okay, sure, maybe it's not one of the all-time great Disney classics, but it's a fun little film for what it is. It's one I don't mind putting on every now and then. But yeah, so that was fun. And of course, I guess in a way, this is kind of the end of an era since this was the final film by Walt, or at least Walt himself worked on. So starting the next time, I guess we'll be beginning the dark age for Disney, an era when their films were not doing incredibly well. But yeah, really, the story, say what you will about the narrative, it may be a little wonky at times, but really, the characters and I'd say the songs is what really carries this film. So, but yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this and this one, and I guess I'll see y'all in the next one. So, see y'all then.